That was really good.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unseasoned Reviews, your favorite book club podcast. Today we are reviewing book number 2 of the Demon Cycle series by Peter Brett, the book The Desert Spear. Last week we reviewed The Warded Man. Now we're on to book number 2. My name is Frank. I'm joined by my lovely sisters, Danielle and Victoria, on the webcam. Another day of audio issues, but I think we're good to go. So should we talk about the book? What your thoughts are? Book number 2.
If you want to.
We'll do non-spoilers first, whether you recommend it or not.
Yeah, I've got a really big spoiler.
I mean, we all read it. I guess we all have the big spoilers. We all know what happens.
She has one that's super secret.
Oh, do you?
It's one you may not have noticed.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, you're insane.
No, seriously. I just mean a spoiler as in, I have a spoiler that's also a trigger warning.
I don't know what she's talking about, but we're not there yet, so I guess we'll have
wait
to...
till the second half of the podcast.
We'll wait and see what the hell my sister's talking about.
I hope... Yeah, see? I'm getting everybody excited for later.
I'm curious. I don't know if I'd say excited. I'm curious. What's going to come out of your mouth?
I'm a little worried. I threw up a little bit in my mouth. I don't know where I'm at right now. Frank right now looks like he's like, what am I even doing here now? I think he's in his hot girl walk phase. He's like, wait, where am I
doing with my life?
That's true. That's very true. All right, so book. Would you recommend it? What we thought about it? So, book number 2. Go ahead, Danielle. What do you think?
I mean, it's good, right? I mean, we all think the series is really good. Book 2 did not disappoint, even though at first you're like, I don't want to learn about this whole new
because it starts off with a new character.
Yes, well, not a new character.
Oh yeah,
but
true.
It just switches again and focuses on a different character than Arlen and Leisha and Rohair. Yeah. And so you're just like, dang it. But it's so good and it pulls you in. And it also makes the person who in the previous book is just portrayed as a bad person. It also humanizes them, right? And tells you their side of the story and how they grew up. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It really was.
Definitely recommending the book.
Yep. Easily recommend the book. I mean, it's just I read it really fast. I couldn't stop. So I've been done with this book for a while. We're supposed to have it done by today, and I was done like 5 days ago. So it starts off, and like Danielle said, it's like it's a person that you're like, I don't like this person. I don't want to read about this person. But then as you get into it, you're like, oh my God, I love this person. Like, they're a badass. They're a total badass.
Yeah.
Because basically... Is it spoilers to say who you're learning about?
No, because I think the cover would tell you that.
Well, even the beginning, even the end of the book 1 tells you kind of. So if you don't know book 1, then you probably shouldn't be listening to this at all.
Correct.
But book 1, The Warded Man, ends with Arlen's foe, who stole the spear from him, has gathered an army at the place where Arlen found that spear. So that's how book 1 ends. So what book 2 is doing is it's showing you the life of the guy that stole the spear from Arlen. Jardir is the man's name.
Yep.
So that's what this book's about, or that's the main focus of this book. And like we said at the beginning, it's like, who gives a shit about this guy, right? And then you're just like, this dude's a badass. He's stuff. A lot of crazy stuff's happened to him, of course, right? Because that's the thing with humans, is we're nuanced, you know, like it's not just black or white. There's good and bad.
Our whole life is made up of several interlocking moments, right?
Yeah.
And so it starts out with him as a boy and how he even was raised, and it's all about honor and honoring your family and bringing them honor and how you do that. It's instilled in them from childhood. So yeah, it was really good.
Very, very good. Highly recommend. Any
Victoria,
additional thoughts, Victoria?
what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree that I'd recommend the book. I think you do have that immediate feeling of like, I don't want to know about them, but it didn't take me very long to suddenly think, like, this guy, he's obviously had a hard life. Like, it pushes you right into understanding this guy's had a hard life. And then when you think about the sacrifices that he had to make when he was just so young, as an adult, it would be super difficult for any of us in that environment to not make even sort of crazier rationalizations for the actions you take, because as an adult, like, he must have experienced so much, considering the sacrifices you have to start making when he's just so young. So you just think, nah, yeah, I can see. And it turns, yeah, it definitely humanizes him.
Oh,
And
yeah, big
then
time.
yeah, and I don't know, I mean, I definitely recommend the book. I'd say that the second one, because of like some spoilers later, um, I would do that with a trigger warning for sure, but that'll come a bit later. So yes, I'd recommend it, but if you thought
We'll
some
just
of
say
the
the
bad
trigger
stuff
warning,
that
and
happens,
if it's bad, I'll just cut it. What are you talking about?
well,
It's a
all the rape,
spoiler.
What rape?
everybody gets raped in this book. Jardir gets raped when he's
And then
in the maze.
yeah.
Rena gets
Oh
raped
yeah, he
a
does.
lot by her father.
Yep, that yes, she does. That's
Leisha
true.
gets raped in the last, like, there's a
The
lot of
last
rape
book.
and it just continues. Yeah, the last book, but it just continues. It's like, if you thought there was only a little bit of rape, you were wrong. There's more.
Well, and that's what I
You know?
told Frankie, because he made such a big deal about the sex in the first book, and I was like, well, hello, second book. There's more.
Yeah.
It's only getting worse here. So if you thought that, the first book was just kind of setting up the world, because I mean, all of Jardir's armies rape all the women, all of them, everywhere. They're either killing them or they're raping them.
Yep.
It's just, this book's rampant with rape.
Yep.
Just trigger warning if you don't want to, read about that kind of stuff. It's very prevalent in this second book. So, yeah, of course I recommend it. I think it's done very well. I think it's very honest, but for anyone who's sensitive to that subject, it could be incredibly triggering because it's going to keep coming up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does. The only other interesting. Well, no, I don't really have anything else to say without spoiling anything.
I was just gonna say, Frank and I were talking about the book earlier this week, and we were talking about one of the characters, or two of the characters, and I'm like, this is where I'm at and what's happened, and I'm so disappointed with the outcome. And he's like, well, no, they meet up later
I know.
and get
I know.
caught. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, they don't. They're da-da-da.
And I was like, oh, yeah,
I think
no.
he realized, like, he's trying to tell me he was further in the book than I was. I'm like, when I got to that part, I'm like, oh, that's what he was talking about.
That's what I was talking about, yeah. I didn't realize, and I was like, oh, yeah, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm misremembering. That's what's happening.
You are correct. Was that hard for you to say?
No. I can admit
I've
I'm
done
wrong.
That to somebody. Yeah, I've done that to somebody before, and
No, you weren't
I'm just
wrong,
talking
that was
and
the point.
talking and talking, and then their face is just like, and I'm like, that's way ahead. It was a TV series, and they just were looking at me like you've ruined
it. Dude, it's the worst, man. There was this.
Hey, I got the worst one though.
There was this radio show. All I'm saying, I don't know, what was it? There was this radio show that I was listening to in my car, and they brought up the movie Gravity, and the guy just instantly spoiled it. He was just like, dude, that Gravity movie's dumb. By the way, I guess I'm going to spoil Gravity here real quick, but
So if you haven't seen it.
But he was like, hey, that Gravity movie, so stupid that what's his name? George Clooney's a ghost or whatever. And it's like, okay, thanks. Something like that. And it was just like, no spoiler. I don't know. It was stupid.
Well, friggin' I think it was Tina. I had told her like I hadn't read, I can't remember which Harry Potter book it was. And she's just like, yeah, it sucks that Snape killed Dumbledore. I was like, and she was like, and I was like, what do you do? You're just like,
you murdered them.
I want to hit you. I literally want violence toward you right now, and I'm not going to. But I'm just saying. And
like,
she just
if I had a wand
like that.
Yeah, I would fucking Avada Kedavra you.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah, it is.
I couldn't believe that moment, and it was like one of the biggest books that I was just like, I have so much, and I have to start knowing where I'm going.
Yeah.
How dare you?
You don't want to go there. You don't even want to.
No, you're like, I don't feel comfortable.
There was another time that one of my bosses, he was like, hey, have you ever seen Sons of Anarchy? And I was like, no. And he's like, it's really good, you should watch it. And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about watching it because I've heard such good things. And then he goes, yeah, the finale was on last night, and then proceeds to tell me everything that happens. And I was like, all right, sick, dude. I guess I'm not watching this now.
You should watch it.
You saved me so much trouble. Now I know never to talk to you about things I like.
He brought it up.
I'll just watch something else.
I will tell people, I'm like, nope, stop talking. Nope, nope.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny that he says you should watch it and then proceeds to spoil it for me. So
You should watch it, but I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Here's why. Here's what you're getting to. If
Righteous
you're interested.
pricks.
Like, I can figure that out myself.
Back to the book though. Great book. Absolutely wonderful. We all definitely recommend it. It, like, literally, if you just need to read it. Like, that's all we have to say. Just read it. Start this series. It's very, very good. I don't think we have.
Starts a little slow, but you'll get
starts. Yeah, the first one does start slow, but once you start reading that, and then you get into the second one, you just want to continue learning about the world and what's going to happen and how it all comes together.
Yep.
And I love that. I'm really glad it did go and share Jardir's story, because it just, I don't know, as I'm reading it, I'm like, this is what we need in real life, like learning more about people and their cultures, because I think it'll help us understand and be more accepting. Mm-hmm. But anyway, not to get too deep.
Well, I one time was browsing around Reddit, and it was a post about what's an old photo or video that was super impactful, from history on you?
Mm.
And I think it was a short clip of Hitler. And he was, uh, who was his mistress? What was her name again? I can't
Ava.
remember right now.
It's
But
Ava.
his mistress, yeah,
Ava.
and his mistress
Ava
was
something.
filming, had turned the camera to film him. And the way he said, the person writing the post said, in that moment, Hitler, who had always demonized and looked at as, inhuman, he looked so human, because what he did is he turned to her and he said, he was shy. And he said, "Why are you filming me? You're the one who should be filmed." And it was such a cute moment from Hitler. And you're just like, you can't humanize Hitler. And it's like, yeah, you can, because he was human. No, and it's like, you don't want that. You don't want to feel like they're human. So I can see the reticence of this, like, if I see you for
I
real, like that
don't
you're a
know.
real person, it's
Yeah.
too difficult on our psyches based on what you've done, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might cut that. Because fuck Hitler. I don't care what
Well,
he did.
yeah. But
Fucking,
if you
he can
watch that
die.
video, well, no, but here's the point. Uh, if we do not,
Go ahead.
well, I was gonna, if we do not accept in ourselves that, yes, I am human
Mm-hmm.
and Hitler was human, and
Mm-hmm.
I could do acts of violence toward
Mm-hmm.
other humans. I have that capability.
Yeah.
If I don't acknowledge that within myself, it's much more likely that I would do something like that. It's the
I
acknowledging of
agree
it
with you.
and then controlling of it that makes us good people. Because,
I agree
a
with you.
good person isn't a weak person. A good person is a person who knows they're strong, knows their capabilities, but then controls all of those urges, all of those, impulses. And so, yes, it sucks, but Danielle is right. It would make us better people to acknowledge that these people are human. They're not, like this book shows, they're not
Yeah.
demons.
Yeah.
They're just real people. And it sucks, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's a good point. Hitler was a human. He's just a horrible one. But he's human just like the rest of us. So anyway, Hitler.
We just want to preface this with, we don't like him. We don't like the guy.
I don't agree with him.
Don't take it
No.
as me saying I approve of anything that went
No,
on there.
I actually understood it. It's just it's hard to say because it's like, yes, Hitler is human. Yes, we are capable of doing such terrible things as the Nazis as well because we are also human. And in that moment, you see it. You see the connection between him and the rest of humanity because he is human, just like the rest of us, has his insecurities and flaws and whatnot. He's just also a monster.
He chose to be a monster.
Yeah.
And we can make
Yeah.
that same decision, which that knowledge makes us very strong, very aware. And so we can keep an eye on our thoughts and allowing those thoughts to go to places they shouldn't go.
Do you know what I actually heard the other week was that Hitler was
Hmm.
actually a person that spoiled a lot of books for people. So I did hear that.
Now you
So
know.
just add it.
Just
Add
added
it.
to his horrible things
Yeah.
he has ever done.
Kills Jews and spoils books. I'm just saying.
You're like, everybody asks, how did he convince these people to do terrible things? Spoiled movies and books for them. That's how he brought out the evil in everyone around him, by spoiling stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So if you're one of those
Okay.
people, you're basically Hitler. You're like,
Oh shoot.
All right, should we talk
we
about
just
the
put
actual?
up a list on the podcast of just people that spoil things, and then next to it we have an arrow: Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, we could start our list of people that we don't like. I'll put my boss on there. We'll have to put Tina on there now. And who else has spoiled something? Oh, that radio guy. I'll just put radio guy on there.
Yeah, radio guy, you know who you are. We put the full names of our family, but radio guy doesn't. He gets the
I don't know.
anonymous.
Yeah. I don't know who the hell he was. I could probably find out, honestly, though.
He writes
Anyway,
in,
let's
he's like,
let's
You could probably
that
Google.
baby's been out for
Yeah,
5
What
okay.
radio
years,
guy
I think it's
spoiled?
Well, no, it was literally like it had just come out.
What an ass.
He literally spoiled it like when it was in theaters. Yeah,
Can't believe that guy
douchebag.
was a ghost. Everyone's like,
WTF.
Let's spoil the book now, though.
Okay.
Let's talk about really what happens because I want to get into it.
I'll start. Rape. Lots and lots of rape. I'm just
Yes.
kidding. Okay, you guys go.
There was a lot of rape.
You're not wrong.
So not really a spoiler, but basically, like we said, this book it's about Jardir, at least the first half. And one thing that is interesting is that the Croatia people are basically they're Muslims, is what they are, which I thought was interesting. But it was cool to see throughout. For one, the new demons. There's 2 new demons. That are like generals, basically. They call them princes, but they're just like a big brain, basically. And they have these what they call mimics that they can control, and the mimics can turn into different types of demons. So I thought that was pretty sick.
And people.
People, well, they mimic their voice. I don't know if they turn into the person. That girl. So
Rena.
I don't remember her name. I just know she died. What?
What? At the end of the book.
What?
Never mind. You go. You keep going.
No, what are you talking about? You tell me.
Rena with
What's her name? The bow girl.
oh, the one that Arlen saves.
Rena?
Rena, yep.
What about her?
The mimic at the end of the book.
What?
He forms into her. Am I crazy?
No.
He forms into Rena?
Yeah, and then
and they also do it to Leisha and what is her name? Vera. They control their minds to fight each other. And
They
to
control
also
their
try
minds. That's
to-
different. No. You're saying that the mimics can turn into people. I'm saying no, they can't.
okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. Keep
They
going.
turn into Rena. What are you talking about? No. We're not leaving this. What are you talking about?
At the end towards
You can say the end all you want. Tell me what happened.
so they're on the side of the bank. They're almost to I can't think of the words. What is the where is Leisha? In Hollow what is it called
Cutter's
now?
Hollow?
Cutter's Hollow.
Deliverer's Hollow.
Yes. They're like on their way there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when Arlen kills one of the princes. And then Rena realize it. They both realize that, and then the mimic falls and is like withering on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
After he stabs the prince, he was in the form of Rena, wasn't he? The mimic.
I don't remember that.
Because you finished it 5 days ago.
Probably. I remember they killed the princes, though. Or they killed one? No, they killed both.
Killed both.
I don't
They
know.
killed
Maybe I wasn't listening right. The way it sounded to me, that would make sense though, because
I think you're right.
Rena stabs the prince from behind, stabs him, and then Arlen rushes forward, keeps him off balance, and then he opens his mouth to scream, and all of the other demons die from his pain because the prince has never felt pain other than like other creatures' pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the demons die around him from like this, but it's not a noise, an actual noise. It's just in the minds of the demons.
Mm-hmm.
And Rena puts her necklace thing around
Yeah.
the deal's
The
throat. So I think
throat,
that's where
yeah.
Yellie's going. Is that her own
Maybe
necklace, but
it
she's
maybe
behind
it
him.
falls out of her mind or something and starts withering on the ground because the mimic.
They tried to take the not the mimic, but the prince attacks her mind because he realizes that her mind is weak and
Right.
Arlen's mind is strong.
But at some point,
no, you're right.
Okay,
you're right.
like,
she's right because remember
the mimic was trying to
there-
be her so
the
that
mimic-
he could.
the mimic. No, she does it. Danielle, sorry, she does a terrible job of explaining this. What you have to tell me is remember when Rena, all of a sudden there's two Renas, and Arlen goes. He's trying to figure out who the real Rena is, but how the book described it was that instantly the mimic was able to basically be just mirror Rena perfectly. Looked exactly like her. Everything that she did, it would do the exact same thing at the exact same time. And that's when Arlen was like, wait, how do I figure out who's who? And then they both Rena said, I'm going to kill you basically to each other. That's what happened. Yeah. So you're right.
All right, I'm like, fudge.
Yeah.
Totally...
Thought you were crazy. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That they can turn into humans.
Okay.
Spoiler, Loki gaslighting in this podcast. Yellie's like, who am I anymore?
Like, well, because like I just finished it last night, but I was tired.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
did I make that up?
Did I like totally?
Or have a dream about it or something?
Right.
No, you're right. That did 100% happen. Well, I was even trying to remember them because I even forgot that they killed the princes, honestly.
What?
Yeah, I don't know, just kind of went out of my mind.
You finished it too soon. I mean, that's like
fast. That's big.
It's so big and so good. You're like, yes. But then you're also like, what's coming next?
Yeah. The coolest part was just seeing there's something new, and it's what we were talking about in the first podcast. Like after that first book, okay, now that they've basically shown the demons, because before they'd never fight against the demons because they had lost all the fighting and defensive wards of the ancient times. As soon as they took a stand against the demons, it's like, okay, now who are they going to send up? Because now it's like, okay, now you have our attention, you know? And so that's when these princes come out. But they weren't even like, the princes played such a small part. But again, what Peter does is he's able to just draw you in, because even when they were writing about the demons, when you're reading about them, they're speaking in like even the way he writes it is just different for the demons than it is for the other people, just for regular humans, and the way he describes things. Like he called, I think he called them breeders or something. He called the humans breeders at one point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so sick. Cause it's just like, that's how they would look at it. Like they would just look at it differently or something. Right.
Well, and they call them basic.
Yeah. Look
or
at us
simple
objectively.
Yeah. And not from our terms, but their terms, like just
their point of view.
Yeah. So he just does a great job because the princes weren't in there that much, but every time they're in there, it's just like, it was always interesting. And he was always adding maybe a little bit more detail about them that made you interested in them and go like, oh, that's like, what else is there to know about the demon world, basically.
Yeah.
Also, the cool thing
I want to
too
ask you guys. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I wanted to ask you guys, what did you think about the ending? So the ending I'm talking about, I'll just describe it really quick.
Yeah.
So the last fight that we were just talking about,
Yep. Arlen and Brenna
They
versus the
do,
prince.
yes, and they do kill the mimic, right?
Mm-hmm.
That guy's gone, or the mimic is gone.
And the
Should say it's a
prince.
guy.
Yep.
No, but first the mimic is dead. Then the
Mm-hmm.
prince, and the prince feels all of that because obviously the mimic is
They're
connected to him
connected.
completely.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the mimic is now dead. So the prince has a single like moment to flee, and he does. The prince dematerializes and is running away. Arlen dematerializes to follow him.
Mm-hmm.
And through following him, he does attack him, but the attacks are more on an energy level. It's not an actual physical fight. It's like an energy
Mm-hmm.
level, like their wills are fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Arlen does win this, and the prince, he almost takes in the prince's power. That's the way they describe it. Like his will overpowers the prince's will, and the prince is no more.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's made Arlen more powerful or something. But through this, then Arlen is experiencing the core where all of these demons spawn from.
Mm-hmm.
He's experiencing it in a totally different way. It's like he discovers that this core, in his words, he says, it's not as if it's exactly evil. It's not good or evil. He's like, it's just power.
Mm-hmm.
So then he comes back because of Rena,
Mm-hmm.
because he feels this call to the core. So it's almost like because he's
You mean at the
almost
surface, or
subsumed the
Well, the core's calling
prince.
him too.
Yeah, both sides are calling him, and he chooses to go back to Rena, and he
Mm-hmm.
chooses his humanity, basically, kind of what we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about before. But he did feel that call. He could just go straight to this core,
Mm-hmm.
which, again, in his words, not good or bad, it's just power.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think about that concept? Like, about that ending? Like, how did it strike you?
I mean, personally, it makes sense from the way that Peter writes, because Peter's not about absolutes. Like, he's just, everything is nuanced, right? So this is just almost a clash of different species that are vying for the ability to survive. And so of course he's gonna do something like that, because it's just like when he's writing about Krasia, right? Krasia does some terrible stuff. Like Victoria's saying, they pillage a bunch of towns and they rape the women and kill a bunch of people, right? That's terrible stuff. But then they also have good things about them too, right? Where they're very loyal and they try and take care of everybody. Obviously, you see with Jardir that he has the ability to change, so it's not like they're just always just going to just rape and kill everybody. So it's always nuanced. And so that's how I feel about the core, is that he's not going to write it as just plain evil. He's always going to nuance it. And I don't know. I guess it makes sense for me. It's not a big shocker to me. It's just kind of it. I don't know. The other way you could view it too is just the fact that Arlen, because he's gaining this power, he could just be almost being consumed by it, right? Like how Arlen keeps going back to talking about how he feels more and more like a demon all the time. So there's a couple different ways you could view it, but I don't think that Peter Brett is ever going to deal in just straight absolutes.
And what do you think, Yelly? How did it strike you?
Yeah, I mean, it's that, to me, it was like, it's that continuous struggle of that you were talking about earlier, right? Of humanity versus power and controlling everyone, right? Like, to different extents, everyone has choices that they have to make, right?
Are we talking about Hitler again?
No. So it was definitely that. I mean, there's this underlying thing, I think, throughout his books so far of the power struggle, the being a decent human being,
Mm-hmm.
understanding other people. I mean, that's definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, it's the story. It's this fictional story that pulls you in, where you're just like, oh shit, what's gonna happen next? It just made me think of like, are we now? Is the third book going to? We're gonna learn more about the core and what happens there, or? And I can't even imagine understanding where they're coming from. So it makes you wonder where it's going to go next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
That's the
so
most
good.
interesting. That's the most interesting part for me because when Arlen starts to describe that the core isn't just good or bad, it's just power. It made me think. I wonder if in the third book the whole point is going to be the core is a reflection of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that power is being used in the world, like they're the cause of their own demons attacking them.
Right. Well, and
Their
Arlen
choices
touches.
they make.
Yeah.
Arlen touches what?
He touches on that when he gets that book about the machines that they can build and the demon fire or whatever. He's like, oh wow, are we our worst enemy, or whatever his thought process was there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that would be interesting though, where it's almost like Stranger Things, where there's the mirrored version of this is what it turned into.
The upside down world.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That's what it was reminding me of, because when Arlen comes back to Rena,
Did we just
and
discover that Stranger Things ripped off
Peter
his
Brown.
book?
Oh no! Spoiler
Alert!
Crazy, you guys.
That was your secret spoiler, wasn't it?
It finally comes out. No, but it really interested me because that was a big choice for Arlen. I think it could have been. I think it was written very well the way Peter describes Arlen's struggle in that moment of it feels almost like the core would be like a welcoming place, as if you can be everything that you are there. It's completely instinctual. Like it's just dissolving into to everything, almost zen like. So it's like that would be a
There's no
struggle to
limits.
resist versus going back to the human world, feeling your weakness and your insecurity and your attachments and all your history and your pains that you've gone through. It seems like the core is the kind of place where all of that sort of dissipates. It's like a collective. And so when that description was being made, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was a huge choice for Arlen to say, no, I choose my human form, that I have these connections, and it's because of these connections that I am good.
Mm-hmm.
And I
The
think
struggles and
that's
the
what's going to
strife.
be like discussed in the next book, is like basically you become your choices. Like your choices are, you have all of this power. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to
Mm-hmm.
choose to? It's like how Frank made fun of me for the superpower thing. He said, what would your superpower be? And I said, like being able to throw like my hand, but my hand, it's not a hand anymore. It's a weapon, or it's something good. It's a net, or it's water, or it's what, but I can just change it into whatever, and then I can call it back to me. And he said, well, why would you do that? That would be so stupid, because you could have such a like overpowered thing. And I said, well, I want it to have limits though, because I don't want to be so gone from the world, so distant from humanity, to not be limited in my power. And Frank was like, well, he wants to be all powerful, right? And that's the sort of same concept. How do you resist being all powerful? Like the core would have made Arlen, he's completely connected, could become
I'm being
a
slandered
prince.
here, and I don't appreciate it.
I was just waiting for it. I'm like, so did you just call Frankie a demon?
I'm just saying,
No, I'm saying
I didn't ask for an all-powerful ability. And two, that's not exactly how the conversation goes, you little liar. I said, why wouldn't you just have telekinetic abilities? That's what I said.
So you could
because I
control it.
felt
Yeah,
like
because then
I
you could
would
still
be
throw
the demon.
stuff.
I would be. You're
Demon.
literally saying,
See,
why
I'm
wouldn't you be a
slandered by
prince?
this.
One of those.
It is a dumb
You
power.
literally
It is a
just
dumb
said,
power. I
why
stand by it. It's a dumb power.
You're like, why wouldn't you be one of those princes? And that's literally what you're asking me.
They
Why
don't.
wouldn't you have
Why would
data?
There, I haven't
Sorry,
seen them
what?
have I haven't seen them have telekinetic powers.
That's
I've
all they
seen
do is
them
find powers.
have
You always like
telepathic. Nope, difference. See, difference. Telepathic is mind control. Telekinetic means you're able to control objects with your mind. There's a difference there. So that means like
You just got
telepathic
schooled,
means
son.
telepathic
But-
means I can then control Danielle with my brain. Telekinetic means I can take my phone and I can pick it up with my brain and throw it across the room. That's what I was saying to you. And I didn't want to be all powerful. I wanted to be able to jump around to whatever place I wanted to, so I could easily go on vacations. It's not being all powerful.
I think this is where we pause
convenience.
and give Victoria a thought bubble.
Well, I was slandered, and I'm not going to stand for it.
But I get what you're saying, Victoria, because like literally that is why, not that we play the lottery, but it would scare me to win the lottery because of the evil it brings out in people. It's just like, it's not worth it to me. I'd rather just I'll just struggle. It's fun. I'll just keep hustling and it's fun. Exactly. Yeah. I just, yeah, it does scare me.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see, though, what they do with Arlen and whether it is. I mean, is it the real world that makes him more human, obviously more human, obviously. I mean, it makes him more good. Will Peter actually give the demons a more positive insight into them that's more positive? I don't know.
See it.
There's tons of different ways he could go about it. I mean, the demons are pretty awful. Yeah.
Right.
But again, it's like
But what
Victoria
if you
said, they're
found
just
out
like
that the demons are only awful because the evil in the men have to be acknowledged in some way, and that's the way that power, like it's a
Oh, it's
the
like
infinity
feeding off of our
symbol.
it's yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's
Like
feeding
what
off
if the
of our
only
unrest.
reason? Yeah. What if that's all it is that's
And
all
So
they
we
need to
then-
respond to, and
peace
then they
and
turn it
kumbaya.
back, because I'm thinking this is what's going to happen. It's going to
Okay.
be turned back on them. Suddenly Arlen is going to be like, you are the demons
problem.
that attack you. Like it's going to become this philosophical thing. And it's like, if
I
we
don't
want to be
know.
better, we have to make better choices. If we want the demons to be weaker, we have to be better people. And then I'm wondering if we'll even go so far as to flip that power of on the evil side right now to being more on the good, and you get like good demons.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I'm wondering, because he specifically said it's not good or bad, it's just power, and power is only what you do with it. So I'm just wondering.
That would be interesting.
I think it's gonna all burn down.
I would love to have Peter Brett right now just come on and say, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're crazy.
You guys are so far out there. That's not what I meant.
That's not where it's going.
I think
you
that
fools.
happens to most artists. Is someone like looks at a painting and it's like a
interpretation.
blue square and a white background, and someone's like, I think this is talking about depression, and they're like, you know when you stare at a light too long and you close your eyes? You're like, okay.
What's the next book called?
I don't know. I ordered it.
Bring it up on screen.
It's called.
He's trying
just-
to use his brain.
Pot it. Put it.
It's the Warded
in
Man, the Desert Spear, The core. The core's the last one, though. Fudge. It is called The Daylight War.
Hmm.
And then the Skull Throne. You know what the Skull Throne is. Krasia. And then the core. So the Daylight War is going to be the war among men.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But then there's also the Skull Throne.
What if it has a terrible, like, overall ending? It's like the only way the
fucking-
demons will stop attacking you is if you start fighting each other. You're like, what? Wow.
You son of a.
Kill each other or we'll kill you. You're like, okay, this isn't a good message.
Oh my gosh, do you think that is Rena and Leisha right there on the cover?
No.
Why not?
This is probably Rena. This is what's her name? Dumb B.
How do you know?
And
Because doesn't she have blue eyes? Because
Yeah, she does.
Leisha has blue eyes.
that's not blue. Those aren't blue.
Okay.
Are they blue?
I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah. As soon as I made it bigger, she instantly went from.
It looked blue.
What did you put in the search?
No, I just the demon
It's just
cycle.
the cover of the book. They could be blue. Her pupil.
Here, I'll show you, Victoria.
Oh.
She thinks that
That's definitely Rena.
this is. She thinks that this is Rena.
Well, that's her knife.
That's
they were
Rena.
always
This is
talking about.
She likes to carry a knife like that.
Yeah.
That's the bad lady. But you go to the next
That's
book,
what
The
I
Core.
said.
That's Leisha on the front of the core.
Oh, let's
The
see
book,
it.
The Core. Right there. You see it right there, popular pages. That's Leisha.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, that's her. I'm not reading anything. by the
No,
way.
I'm so excited though. I was thinking as I was reading it, I'm like, could they turn this into a series? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
of course they could. No, 100%. You could do it. Why couldn't you do it?
I don't know. I was just thinking about it.
Of course you could.
Well, you could. You just have to cut a lot of it. Anyway,
You
whatever.
always have to cut stuff.
Yeah, all the rape.
Well,
Right.
yeah. You for sure.
We
have to
can't
cut
be
the
raping
rape.
everybody on
Well,
every
which is
episode.
crazy because sometimes he goes into too much detail, and you're like, why? And then the Leisha and Jardir, when they get together, you're like, and that's just a blurb. Like, why do we have to go? Not that I want it to go into detail, but why are we going into detail?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, she
on the
wants to.
on the rape.
Let me read
But-
about this Jardir Leisha going on here.
It's just like, why the choices?
Yeah. I think
Uh-huh.
it's well, you know my theories. I think because it's gonna show humans use their power for bad things and they have evil in their hearts and it's
Mhm.
being represented from the like they're the you know how Arlen at the end and Rena they shine with this magic.
Mhm.
And so I think it's going to show that there's some connection to the core that everybody has. And
Mhm.
it's them feeding the core, like their
Mhm.
power stemming from there. And their choices, that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be discovered that their choices
Influences the
in
core.
influences the core and therefore they're hunted by their own demons literally at night. Like I think it's all a metaphor.
I don't know though, Victoria. Just because when all of the Well, maybe. I don't know.
Look, you
We're
could
gonna
easily
find
do
out.
that. Yeah, we'll find out. You could easily do that. You could say that. The thing that sucks though is it's like in book 1, it's like Leisha and Roger, yeah, Roger.
Roger.
Leisha and Roger are on the road going back to Cutter's Hollow, and then Leisha gets raped, Roger gets beat up by men, and then they get attacked by demons too. So it's like they're getting it from both ends. So it's like you could do that, but you could also say that it's not that the people are influencing it, but he's just using it as an analogy for that there's just the evil in the world, and or maybe there's even a difference between like this is just its natural state of these beings want to eat versus men who are doing it for different reasons. I don't know. There's tons of different ways you could go about it. So we'll see.
What if we discover in the core there aren't just demons though?
What humans?
No, like angelic like characters, because we're talking about demons.
Oh, like good beings?
Yeah.
There could be. There could be angelic beings. Where are they?
But what if they're fewer and far between because of the humans? They can't prosper because they're not.
I think you went too
I'm just
deep,
saying.
man.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm just saying.
She dematerialized. You need to rematerialize.
I dematerialized with Arlen, and I felt and saw what he saw. And you're like, okay, this is a different podcast.
Next podcast will be an intervention for Victoria.
I'm
Was
just
there
saying
anything?
the metaphor works.
No, it does.
It does work. I just don't know that the book's going to go that deep, but
Yeah.
I could totally be wrong.
It's not even that necessarily that I don't know that it will go that deep for me, because he makes tons of metaphors and analogies anyway. I'm just saying, like, because they're already getting it from the bad humans anyway, I don't know if he'll go that way with the metaphor. But I see how you could use that as the metaphor for it, and they could do it. I don't know. I'm not convinced that it will go that way. I'm not unconvinced. It's just, if I had to pick a side, I would say no, but it's not like I'm leaning heavily either way. Well, we'll see. We'll see what he does. I mean, there's tons of different ways. Either way, like, this sucks,
If
dude.
it
I have
does
such
turn
high.
out that way, though,
No.
this is gonna be a big "I told you so." It's gonna be a
Look.
big spoiler. I'll be like, "Spoiler! I told you so."
That's
And
not
you're
a.
like,
That's not a spoiler. That's not a spoiler.
just call it
You just call it anything.
spoiler. Spoiler! I gotta go pee. You're like, what? No.
They actually do that in the show Community. Have you guys seen Community?
No.
Great show. There's a kid in there, Abed, who loves TV shows and movies. And then if you tell him something that he didn't know, he says spoiler. And so they tell him, Abed, real life doesn't have spoilers. Like, you gotta. It's good though. Go watch Community. Was there anything else from the book that was like, hey, this is interesting? Because I mean, obviously Olive Jardir's childhood, very interesting. His wife, crazy lady,
but also
Crazy.
a BA, man. I mean,
she gets things done. She really does. Like, she makes things happen.
What's really cool in this book is that women do not have upfront power. Like, they are viewed as the lesser in most places.
I think in every place.
Except for the Hollow, right?
No, not even there, because even they try to talk down to Bruna, and then Bruna has to exert her influence over them, saying, "Fine, I'm not going to help you with this," or like.
Well, let's not forget.
But
where
so
Arlen came from too.
Yeah,
because mothers. That's what they would say, mothers.
Yeah, but so they are not viewed as powerful or whatever. But you learn, like, they are really controlling all these different cities.
Yeah.
It's they have underlying power, and they're the critical thinkers, and they're the ones like laying out the plans. It's really interesting.
Yeah, the grandma, that was a pretty cool scene.
This book has layers. That's all we're saying.
It does. But the
Yeah.
not the grandma, the
I
mom.
think
Sorry, the mom.
Yeah, the
I think
Dukes.
Jardier's first wife, and I can't remember her name exactly. It's an I name.
Yeah, it's
Ino
Enerva.
Vera, Inovra,
It's a name I've seen
something.
before.
Anyway, but
Enerva?
Jardier's first, it's like Inno Ver Vere at the end, Inno something like that. But
His Jaiwaka or whatever he calls
Yeah. I might have seen a spoiler.
Oh no, don't do it.
Jardir. First, I'm not looking. Wife name.
I'm not looking because I don't want to be.
Go ahead, Victoria. You can keep talking.
I know what I feel like. I'm gonna start talking. You're gonna interrupt me once you find the name. You're
I'll
gonna
just say her name.
Anyway.
What is happening here?
Here, let me do it.
Oh
I'm not
no,
scared.
I put in Jordan.
It's like Michael Jordan's first wife's name.
And Inevra. Inevra.
So
Yeah, it's right
Inevra,
here.
I think she's a perfect depiction of the most powerful a woman could possibly be and the most ruthless a woman could possibly be, raised in an environment where men are overtly powerful and ruthless in their judgments of others, and especially of their judgments of people beneath them.
Yeah.
She perfectly encapsulates what a woman would have to perform like to have any control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrifying to read about, but it's also just like hearing about Jardier's story and going, I can see why he's as ruthless as he is. It makes sense why she's as ruthless as she is.
Well, yeah.
And you're
I
just
mean,
like,
just to be able to protect yourself from, and I love how, like, she can just touch a part of his body and he totally like loses all control of his body.
Yeah.
It's like she was trained so well.
Yeah. Well, their whole civilization.
Yeah.
Like any of them, they're all trained super well. Well, the fighting, the royalty or whatever. But the thing is like she is a terrible person.
I mean, they all are not the greatest.
There's very few that are.
But see, it always comes back to that metaphor. I'm just saying. Just saying.
I know.
Oh God.
You got power. What do you do with it?
I can't wait till this is proven wrong.
I just don't think he'll hit it that. I don't think he'll be that obvious with it because everything's been really subtle. That's why I don't think he'll go there.
We'll see.
But I could totally be wrong.
We'll see. Either way, look, I like Inevra like I like Cersei, but still, she's an evil bitch, right? Like we're not disagreeing there.
We have Cersei, but
Are we
you also
disagreeing?
have like.
You guys like her? Like I like her as a character. Like she's a good character to have.
Inevra.
But
I think she's
but if she
unavoidable.
was real,
oh yeah, I mean, no,
she's an
I'm
evil
not,
bitch.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Oh, do I want to hang out with her? No, I don't want to hang out with her.
I don't even want to be in her realm.
Yeah.
Like I don't want her to know my name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now reading about her, yeah, great,
we're
right?
mean girling Inevra. We're like, you can't say that.
Well, I wouldn't say that to her.
No, I don't even want her to exist in my realm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely good second book.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to read the third.
Yeah. Now, I did call correctly what
Whose story
happens
are you
in the
looking
second book.
forward to the most?
All
right
of them.
now?
It doesn't. All of
point.
them. I just
You
want.
have to choose. You have to choose right now.
No,
You have
I
to write it on
don't.
camera.
I
You
don't
gotta
have to
choose.
choose.
No,
Now
because
you have
they're
to. I said
all gonna converge.
Yeah, they all converge anyway. Look, it's all. That's the thing is that this is a book unlike others that I've read, where it's like they switch to different characters and you're just not as interested in them, right? in this book so far, in this series so far, I have been interested in everybody. At the very beginning, when you first start learning about somebody, you're like, damn it, I don't care. But as soon as you learn enough, you're like, oh, I really, really like this character, which is why I think this is such a great series. It shows because I want to learn about everybody. I really do. I want to see how everybody interacts with each other. I want to see what happens between Jardir, his wife, and if he takes like Leisha, or if he has other northerner wives or whatever. Like everybody, literally everybody. Abin, I want to see what happens to him because he's been treated like garbage. Mm-hmm. But he's also not the greatest person in the world either because he's looking for profit all the time. So, I don't know, everybody.
I think it's good that, because I was remember in the first book when Bruna talks to Leisha, she's mocking her, she's kind of joking with her, like, you should get laid, go get laid or whatever. I used to when I was young, but boo, you know. And Leisha's like too young. She's just like, what do you stop, you gross old lady, like stop talking about that. And then Leisha asks Bruna, like, how could you be married and still you've been the herb gatherer forever. How could you balance both of those jobs? And I think it was interesting the way that Peter, the author, created this space that Leisha could still have her herb gatherer oaths, but then still kind of have a relationship there. And he kind of showed you that, like he talked about it, hinted at it, you could say, with Bruna in the first book, and then we kind of see how that might unfold and be able to work, because she's allowed to leave. Like she left, she still goes and does her own thing, but she is having that, she is exploring that part of her life. She's not just celibate, you know, she's not just a nut. They don't keep her precious, I guess. They make her a really whole character. And so I liked that. I like to see, because I was wondering, I was like, how did Bruna do that? But it kind of shows you how that might work, which was cool.
I think it's also because it's like it's different than religion, right? Like she talks about how hers is one of science. Bruna and Leisha, like that's their art, which is not religion, which is where you typically see like you have to stay celibate, you know, for God, be pure. So I think that's where it's just like, again, it's what you've heard in the real world, right? Like
well, and Evra kind of rises above that because she just screws whoever she needs to get her way.
She's all about power.
She's just like she's like a savage. She's like, no, I don't care about these rules. Like, and she's so powerful that even men are terrified of her. Like they're not gonna spread the word that they've been with her. She's, you know, she's kind of risen above even her own religion that she's within to be efficient, and she's efficient. She's pretty scary.
Yeah, she's very scary.
Because I mean, Jardir could have killed her immediately for what she's done.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't dare do that. So you're just like, she's a powerful lady. Like he's out there murdering people for everything, and she's just like, yeah, I screw other men. What do you think about it? holy crap. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm queening over here. You're like, okay. I'll just stand back. I probably wouldn't want to hang out with her either.
No, thank you. I don't hang out with any of them. There was something I was going to ask, damn it.
What were you saying? You called something, though, from the first book?
Yeah, you did.
Second?
The generals basically coming along, the new powerful demons that took notice. Said that. Yeah, what do you think is going to happen in the third book? It's called the Daylight War.
Well, and
are there daylight demons?
At the end of this book, Jardir tells Aban that they're still going to march against Lockton. Was that?
Yeah. Yep.
So he's moving forward with it, and then Aban also tells Leisha, like, if she can get word to Arlen for him to run, because Jardir will kill him, because there can't be two
Deliverers.
deliverers.
Yeah.
So
But Jardir doesn't know how to dissolve.
No, Jardir's not the deliverer. He's just not.
Yeah, and I don't
Spoiler.
know.
That's my
know
guess.
if either of them, but it should be interesting. I think that's definitely going to be something that they'll eventually have to clash, right? And
Yeah.
we'll see
What if Inevra's the deliverer, guys?
No.
She's just a
I
dumb
was
bitch.
to help out. I really wanted to see how pissed you would be if that's how the book goes. You're like,
Dude.
what? And then
That
it
wouldn't make
describes
any sense.
and then it describes Inevra's story, and you don't want to read it, and then you read it, and you're like, oh my god, it makes so much
Inevra's
sense. You're like, I did not
Inevra's
want to like
sick.
her. Suddenly, she's awesome.
No, Inevra's sick. Inevra is sick. Dude. That's what I'm saying. Is like, it's like Cersei. Cersei was a very cool character, and I liked
Just
hearing
don't
about
spoil
Cersei.
anything.
What?
Just don't spoil anything.
I'm saying she's like the main bad person in Game of Thrones.
Okay, just be careful.
Mm.
I'm only in the
Game of
second
Thrones
season.
I'm not spoiling.
Okay,
I'm not spoiling
I'm
anything.
just saying, be careful.
I'm just saying that's how I compare Inevra. It's like, but Cersei is not somebody that you're like, yeah, you know, like you're not like, that's more of like the Starks and stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
Cersei's just like, you need that character. They did a really good job with her, but you can't root for her like that. That's
You hate them.
sort of. I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
You hate them, but you also love them.
No. I just
Hold on,
straight
we're
up
gonna
hate
pause
them.
here.
We gotta pause. I know, we're supposed to be leaving now. We had sound issues. We'll wrap it up. I'm kidding. Are the boys dressed? Okay.
No, they are running around naked.
Never know
Just-
in my house.
Daddy said we don't have to get dressed. You're like, no.
Lies. Okay, what else?
I think we did good. I think with series, it's good to kind of just put out some guesses for like, what do you think the next book is kind of going to talk about? So I
What do
think
you
this is a
think,
good
Frank?
wrapping up point.
I don't know. Daylight War, it's just going to be the war between men. I think that's what's going to be the main purpose of it. I don't know if there'll be any big developments with demons. What was this one called? The Desert Spirit? I guess there could. So we could see some demon stuff, some new demon stuff. I mean, the princes die, so that might shake up the core a little bit.
I would think so.
Yeah. Since they never felt pain before in their life.
Yeah. Well, and
What
even...
does
Sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
I was just wondering, does Arlen's power exist during the day, or is it can he only access the core power at night?
Great question.
I don't know, because it...
Well,
I mean,
That would come in handy with the
dematerializes...
Daylight Wars.
and he does talk about having more power. Like, remember when he was jumping up on walls and stuff? Like, he still is very powerful, more than a strong man. He has more power than the average
Yeah.
Human.
That
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense, because he's like trained warrior.
Mhm.
He has more power than a trained warrior,
Yeah.
right? He's supernatural. So
Yeah. Well, he has more power than everybody else because he has wards on his body.
Yeah.
And he kills things with his bare hands.
and he's been taking the demon power into his body. So yes, that still comes out during the day. They talk about it, but I don't know.
If he can dematerialize.
And yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
And do you think he'll be like hearing the call more?
now that he's touched the
Like-
core or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's been feeling it since book one. I mean, when him and Leisha got together, he was feeling it. So I don't know. He'll definitely still feel it. There's definitely like that's a thread that Peter's gonna continue to build upon, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll definitely see it, and he'll have to resolve it somehow. I mean, obviously, there's a book called The Core, so.
Wait, do you remember in the first book when they said nobody knew what happened to the deliverer?
Mm-hmm.
What if the deliverer became one of those princes?
They could be
Like,
in the
they
core.
didn't hear about him anymore because he joined the core.
That'd be crazy. Right? Maybe he's running all of it.
Right?
Or maybe they trapped him down there.
He's a prisoner.
God. Spoilers! Jeez, oh,
Good.
He's
Because they said he
prisoner.
disappeared and nobody knew what happened to him, and all of
Good
the
point.
wards were forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And Arlen could have just disappeared completely
Mm-hmm.
at the end
Yeah,
of that
it's true.
the second book.
I didn't even think of that.
That's a good point, yeah. Arlen keeps choosing his humanity, but maybe the deliverer didn't.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Arlen has chosen his humanity twice now. How many times did the deliverer have the opportunity to choose his humanity? Does Arlen eventually fail? There's literally a book called The Core, so I'm gonna go on a limb here and say we're gonna find out.
That's interesting.
I know.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
The next book is called The Daylight War. So if you want to read it before next week, and you want to, come along for the journey, we'd love to have you. That would be awesome. Also, tell us in comments and everything if you've read it, what you think, if you had any like little aha moments where you thought, hey, maybe this is going to happen, because I love to read about those kinds of things.
I'm not reading any comments.
I hate
Because
your
it'll be
comments.
well, it'll just be like the audio sucks and I know it sucks, so I just don't need to hear it from somebody else besides myself.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Frankie needs to work on his self-love.
No, I'm just pissed off with my audio problems. That's all.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, whatever. All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.